The story of China's meteoric rise stands out as one of the most captivating narratives of our time. From the once isolated, impoverished nation to the world's second largest economy, China's journey has been nothing short of remarkable. But what does it mean for the Middle East and for Israel specifically? But first, if you stand with Israel, join us in spreading the truth far and wide. Follow our channel, share our content, and help our message reach viewers around the world. I'm Shoshani, and this is what happened this week in our neighborhood. It is almost impossible to discuss world affairs today without mentioning China. China's economy is valued at a staggering $14.7 trillion, making it the world's second largest economy, trailing only the United States. And the country's influence continues to grow, with China being the biggest contributor to global growth over the last decade and expected to remain the most important global growth engine in the years to come. It is a remarkable turnaround for a nation that in just a few decades ago was on the brink of economic isolation. It was 1978, just yesterday in history terms, that China's economic journey truly began to take shape. As the country embarked on a series of sweeping market reforms, and by the end of the 1970s, China had begun what many would come to describe as the most impressive economic miracle of the modern era. Eager to capitalize on the country's cheap labor and low operating costs, foreign investment poured into China, and the country's integration into the global economy accelerated. In 2001, the country was accepted into the World Trade Organization, and that further cemented its position as a key player on the world stage, as trade barriers and tariffs were lowered, allowing Chinese goods to flood international markets. China's economic rise has been paralleled by a dramatic buildup of its military capabilities, driven in large by the soaring defense budget. From 2000 to 2016, China's military budget increased annually by about 10%, although this growth has since slowed to a still impressive 5 to 7% per year. This sustained investment has enabled China to modernize its military at a rapid pace with the launch of new, state-of-the-art aircraft carriers, and the predicted quadrupling of its nuclear stockpile by the end of the current decade. The implications of China's military growth are far-reaching, predicting that the total number of Chinese Navy ships will increase by nearly 40% between 2020 and 2040. This shift in the global balance of power is already being felt, as China's expanding military capabilities are reshaping the geopolitical landscape and causing concern, and with due cause, among its rivals, particularly the United States and its allies. We rely on supporters just like you. Your likes and shares across social media help immensely in getting the truth out there. Israel is outnumbered in the digital war, but you, yes you, sharing this content makes the difference. Speaking of the US, let's compare the two world powers for the sake of conveying just how strong China actually is. In the grand arena of global power, China and the United States engage in a captivating tug of war, each flexing its might like a bodybuilder in the flex-off, with the United States leading in terms of GDP at $26.95 trillion annually to China's $17.7 trillion. And yet, China's economy is growing at an almost 3 times the rate of the US, around 7% in the last couple of years. Compare that to less than 2.5 in the US. Despite the recent slowdown, China's economy is still growing at almost 3 times the rate of that of the United States. In terms of purchasing power parity, or PPP, China has even surpassed the US since 2016. On the military front, while China boasts the world's largest military, with a staggering 2.8 million soldiers, sailors, and airmen, twice the number, in fact, of active personnel in the United States Army, it seems the United States is still holding on to the slight edge in terms of technology and military power. When it comes to equipment, the tables have turned, as the United States has a larger total aircraft count with 13,209 compared to China's 3,342. However, and I like to say this is a big however, China has a large number of active personnel with 2,035,000 compared to the United States' 1.328 million. So why is China's strength a concern? Well, as China's economic and geopolitical clout has grown, so too has its presence in the volatile Middle East. And that's how we connect to today's video, particularly in its relationship with Iran. The two countries have forged a strategic partnership that has significant implications for the region and the wider global landscape. At the heart of this partnership is a deep economic cooperation, with China being Iran's biggest trade partner. In fact, in 2021, the two countries signed a landmark 25-year agreement to enhance their comprehensive cooperation across a range of fields, which include a staggering $400 billion in Chinese investment into Iran's economy over the next quarter of a century. But the China-Iran alliance is not merely about dollars and cents. It also has a strong military dimension, with China long playing a critical role in arming Iran and aiding its efforts to modernize its military hardware and tactics. This military cooperation is a central pillar of the strategic partnership, and it has significant implications for the balance of power in this region. China's growing ties with Iran have not gone unnoticed, particularly in the context of the ongoing conflict between Israel and the Palestinian terrorist group Hamas, which Iran supports. China refuses to condemn Hamas's attacks on Israel and instead criticizes the Israeli retaliatory strikes on Gaza. So what does the future hold for the China-Israel relations? The rise of China and the shifting global alliances present both challenges and opportunities. Up until the Israel-Hamas war, the relationship between China and Israel has seen a significant strengthening in recent years. Trade between the two countries has surpassed $11 billion annually, a staggering 200-fold increase over the past 25 years, far outpacing the growth of the US-China trade during the same period. At the same time, China has become a major investor in Israel, with investments spanning high-tech, agriculture, food, water, and biotechnology sectors. This is exemplified by the 2014 acquisition of the largest Israeli dairy company, Tnuva, by China's Bright Foods. On the trade front, Israeli imports from China, excluding diamonds, amounted to $13.19 billion in 2021, a 39.6 year-on-year increase, while Israeli exports to China rose by 4.4% to $4.93 billion. China has emerged as Israel's largest trading partner in Asia and the third largest in the world, underscoring the growing economic ties between the two nations. As China's economic and military might continues to grow, its influence is being increasingly felt in the volatile Middle East region. China's perceived hostility towards Israel's actions, coupled with its refusal to condemn Hamas, has been interpreted as a worrying shift away from Beijing's traditional neutrality in Middle Eastern affairs. So much for this week. I'm Mati Shoshani. Please continue to follow us to find out what God is doing in our neighborhood. And I hope you live in a calmer neighborhood than ours. The truth must reach as many people as possible. After watching, please hit the subscribe button so you don't miss our future videos. Hello, this is Mati here in Jerusalem with TBN Israel.
This is Yair Pinto from TBN Israel here in Jerusalem. TBN Israel is keeping viewers informed with Israel-focused news, culture, and what God is doing in this land.
Support TBN Israel today online at tbn.org/Israel. Thank you.